Thank you everybody for joining us today for our last webinar of the summer webinar series. Can't believe we're at the end of our series today, which means we're just another step closer to you coming on to campus. So that's wonderful. So today our webinar is about preparing and planning for your arrival to Ireland. Just some kind of housekeeping reminders while you're on the webinar. Just make sure that you keep your microphone muted for the entire presentation. We'll be taking questions in the chat. So if you have any questions, you can shoot them in the chat. But for any specific questions about yourself or about anything about your studies here at DCU that pertain to you individually, we're happy to answer them, but we will take those questions via email. And so the email to send those questions to is just on the screen there. So DCU Global Recruitment, dcu.ie. So today we're going to have one of our global ambassadors who I'll introduce you to in just a few moments, answer some general questions about being a student here and preparing for arrival. But anything specific, please send to us via email. So today on the call, we have DCU Global Recruitment representatives. So my name is Colleen Griffin, and I'm the Senior International Recruitment Officer for North America. And so it's lovely to be speaking with everybody today. And then my colleague Tiago is also on the call, so I'll have him introduce himself there.
Hi guys, I'm Tiago. I am one of the student recruitment officers at the international office in the DCU, and I just want to say welcome to all of you. Yeah, and hope to see you here soon in September.
Thanks so much, Tiago. And Tiago will be kind of monitoring the chat today for us. So if you shoot any questions in there, Tiago will pass those along to us as well. And as we're talking, like I said, feel free to introduce yourself in the chat. And we are very happy to have one of our global ambassadors today joining us. So I'll pass it over to Nia to give kind of a brief introduction about who she is, where she's from, and what she's studying here at DCU.
Thank you, Colleen. Hi, everyone. This is Neha. So I'm currently a student at DCU pursuing MSc in Health and Science Communications, almost at the end of my academic year. And I'm also a student ambassador with DCU and with Education in Ireland. So I'm from India. And I do see we have a lot of people from India here as well. So today it's just going to be, me sharing my experience with you all in terms of packing and, things to prepare when you're coming from your specific country. So just feel free to, pop in questions on whatever doubts you have.
Thanks so much, Nia. And thank you so much for joining us today from India as well. So it's fantastic.
Yeah.
So we will start with just some kind of helpful reminders and kind of help you prepare for your arrival. So for many of you, this may be your first time, arriving in Ireland, your first time visiting Ireland. So we wanted to kind of give you a little bit of a sense of what your journey through the airport will be like after you've arrived. And so once you've arrived in Ireland, you are required to meet with an immigration officer, and this meeting happens before you go to baggage claim. And so that's a really important note to remember, because you must have all of your required documents with you in your carry-on luggage. So it's not something that you can pack away in your baggage that you're going to be checking, because you're going to need it as soon as you land in Ireland to show to an immigration officer. And so those documents would be, of course, your valid passport with your entry visa, if applicable, to your country, evidence of private health insurance, your offer from DCU, evidence that your fees are paid, any scholarship award letters, if applicable. So if you are a scholarship recipient, you want to have an award letter with you as just confirmation that you are that recipient. The immigration officer may also ask about accommodation. So they may say, maybe if you don't have accommodation squared away 100%, where are you staying now, or where are you staying for the first few weeks until you start school? So you want to make sure that you have, confirmation of where you're going to be living, whether that's permanently or a temporary housing situation, depending on your individual case. So again, this is all at the point of arrival in Ireland. And so can't stress that enough, that you want to have those documents with you in your carry-on bag. So that way you're prepared to show them as soon as you meet with an immigration officer. And when you're speaking with the immigration officer, so if they're happy with everything you've shown them, they're going to be putting what's called a landing stamp in your passport, which gives you the immigration permission to enter and stay in Ireland. The stamp identifies how long you can stay. The usual time limit is 3 months, though in some limited circumstances, sometimes they'll give you less, but majority of the time it is that 3 months duration. And then so on that landing stamp, like I said, we'll show you the limit of time, but then you're going to want to follow the instructions to register your arrival with the Immigration Service Delivery prior to the expiration of your landing stamp. And there's very detailed information on the DCU Student Support website and the irishimmigration.ie website. So the link to the URL is just on the screen there of the process of registering your arrival with the Immigration Service Delivery. We also previously had a webinar about immigration and arrival. So we will send an email with all of the links to those previous webinars as well, just so you can kind of prepare for that. But again, this doesn't happen until after you've arrived. It's just kind of a friendly reminder. So just some visuals about the airport, especially if this is your first time arriving here in Dublin and kind of what to expect. So the image there on the left is just a picture of the arrivals hall in Terminal 1. So as soon as you exit immigration and exit baggage claim, you've collected your bags. This is kind of the arrivals hall where you'll walk through. And then once walking through the arrivals hall, then it's your option of what type of transportation you'd like to take to DCU or the city center, depending on where your destination is. So the airport does have a taxi rank in Terminal 1. And so you just queue up for a taxi. It does cost approximately 20 euros to get to DCU from the airport. So just keep that in mind. There's also a more cost-effective option, and that's the Dublin bus. And so on the screen there is just a picture of the Dublin bus stop. You would be wanting to take bus number 16 towards Ballantyre for DCU. It does cost €2.60, but the one thing to keep in mind is that the bus only accepts coins. So if you're just arriving just off the airplane, you want to make sure that you keep that in mind, that you can't hand them a credit card or debit card when getting on the bus. So you want to kind of maybe exchange some money when you get off the airplane, get some coins at the airport, so that way you have the right amount of change to board the bus. So obviously that's a little bit more cost effective, and DCU is very close to the airport. It's a quick bus ride if you're living here on one of our campuses. So it's up to you, especially with luggage, but just want to give you the sense of all the cost effective options. And then there's also a second terminal there, and it's Terminal 2. So depending on where your flight is arriving. So on the left is just an example of what the arrivals hall looks like in Terminal 2. So again, this is after you go through immigration, pick up your bag, and you're right outside of the airport. Terminal 2 does also have its own taxi rank, so you can queue there. From my knowledge, you can't order, an Uber or Free Now to the airport because of their licenses with taxis. So you want to make sure that, you're getting in that taxi line if that's the way you want to exit the airport. And then also in Terminal 2, there's a bus line called the Dublin Express. And this is a coach service, and they take you directly into Dublin city center. So depending on where your destination is right after you land, this may be a good option for you as well. It's €8 to the city center one way, and it's a kind of a comfortable coach bus. It's really popular, especially with, tourists and people visiting, because it takes you right into the city center. They have really frequent buses coming in and out of the airport. So this could be an option for you too, especially if you're heading into the city center after your arrival. And so moving on from the airport, and once you've arrived, this is just kind of a snapshot of the different campuses that we have here at DCU and just the proximity of them to each other. So our main campus is Glasnevin campus. So that's on the left there. That's home to the majority of the faculties, student support services as well. The Helix. So a lot of the, the images that you'll see of DCU come from Glasnevin campus. It's where the student union is as well. So it has the most kind of buzz on campus and the most students because of all of the faculties that are here and the buildings and student support. Then we also have the All Hallows campus, which is the bottom left. And so that is home to a lot of, some of the humanities courses. So Irish, some music courses are there too. And then in the top right is St. Pat's campus. So that is another big campus that's a part of the DCU Camp 3 campus structure. And a lot of the Institute of Education courses are held there. So it's about a 30-minute walk from the Glasnevin campus to St. Pat's, and then about a 9-minute walk between St. Patrick's campus and All Hallows. So it's definitely walkable. There is a bus that takes you from Glasnevin to St. Patrick's campus, a Dublin bus. So it's up to you how you'd like to commute, but just kind of wanted to give you an idea of, the 3 separate campuses and kind of the proximity between each of them. So some packing essentials, and this is where I'm gonna utilize Nia's experience here. So we have just some kind of 5, just basic packing essentials. So as you're kind of getting ready to travel here, what you want to make sure that you have with you. So of course, you've probably heard many times Ireland is home to unexpected rain or multiple days of rain. That's why we have such green fields here. So that's a positive about it. But the negative is that you always kind of want to be prepared for rain. So making sure you have an umbrella, a waterproof jacket as well, plug adapters. So, making sure that you're aware of the different plug sockets here in Ireland and making sure that you have the correct adapters to use anything that you're planning on bringing with you from your home country. Portable chargers are always just helpful, especially if you're going to be taking, a long journey, whether to Ireland or traveling around. We just always recommend that you have that. So you're, always available to have communication, and then warm clothes as well. So I will pass it to Nia here to kind of give any kind of packing tips that she has to share.
Thank you, Colleen. So just to talk about the 5 things that are there on the screen, they're like super essential. I think when you're coming from your home country, definitely have a portable charger with you, because initially, even though you have those plug points, which are called universal adapters, again, something I'm sure will be available in your country. If not, you can buy it at the airport. It's also available on the DCU campus, but I think getting a portable charger is important because there's a lot of, like when you're staying in Dublin as a student, there's a lot of travel here and there, and I always have a portable charger with me. Umbrella, waterproof jacket, yes, it does rain quite a lot in Dublin, especially when you'll be coming end of August, beginning of September. There is still a lot of rain that's happening right now. And in terms of warm clothes, do pack the kind of clothes that you would wear in winters, because it does start getting a little bit colder. But again, I would advise not to buy anything specifically for Ireland, like heavy jackets or anything. For now, end of August or beginning of September, a light jacket or clothes that you already have are enough. When you come here, you can go, we have a lot of shops here like Pennies, which, they're really subsidized places. There's Dunn's. So these are the kind of stores where you can get clothes at a cheaper cost. Plus, it's also the style that, Ireland and Dublin has. So I wouldn't advise packing a lot of clothes. Definitely do not go over the limit that you have, in terms of packing luggage for the check-in. And of course, there's certain utensils. If you're cooking, I'm sure some of you will be cooking, so certain utensils that you want to bring from home. But things like, glasses, spoons, like cutlery kind of a thing is something you can avoid. This is also available at IKEA. So IKEA is, again, very close to DCU. It's, I think, just like a 15-20-minute bus ride away. And the most important thing I would say that really helped me is that I made an Excel sheet when I had to, because there's a lot of things that you have to keep: clothes, medicines, accessories, and your documents. So it's good to have like an Excel sheet where you can just demarcate sections for everything that has to be brought in. And I'm sure you are already part of certain groups, WhatsApp groups, where a lot of information is exchanged. People do keep circulating certain lists. So it's good to, just look at those different lists and finally have a list of your own. Medicines is important, because as soon as when you arrive in Dublin or Ireland, if you do fall sick or something of that sort, going to the doctor initially is not the first, the first thing. So definitely have your medicine box with you. And And also another important thing is that when you have your certain essential documents that are seen at immigration, have that with you in your hand luggage, in your cabin baggage. Do not check that in. I know some people do that. So have that with you. I would again advise taking a printout of everything, that is your where you're staying, an accommodation slip, the details of that, and all your essentials, your passport, your identity card. These are the things that they will ask for. They don't always ask for everything, but it's good you to have your financials, even though when you applied for visa, it was seen, but it's good to have your financials and all those documents in one folder that you have with you at all times. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Nia. That's really great advice, both for packing, what's essential and what really isn't, and what you can actually get here at an affordable cost. And so we'll touch too a little bit about the stories that Nia mentioned. But first, these are just some, useful apps for you to download before you arrive here in Ireland, or maybe once you get here to arrive, depending on when you're getting your mobile phone. So the TFI Live updates. So this is just public transport updates here in Ireland. So that covers, the railway system, the bus, the Lewis. So this is kind of a great hub for all of the transportation services here in Ireland to get, live updates, planning your route and that sort of thing. So definitely recommend that one. Free Now is the most used taxi app here in Ireland. So this is definitely something worth downloading. It's very similar setup to Uber. So you'll see a lot of the taxis that are driving around the city have that logo there, Free Now, on them. So that means you can kind of hail them like a cab or potentially book them through Free Now too. So definitely recommend that one. Deliveroo. So if you're not feeling like cooking and using those pots and pans, you can order some delivery using Deliveroo. So it's similar to Uber Eats or Just Eat, and it's a popular service here in Ireland. So I'd recommend downloading that. Revolut, it's a digital banking app used here in Dublin and most of Ireland as well. So depending on, how you're going to be setting up your banking services, you may want to download a Revolut app and build an account there. It's a lot of, used a lot sometimes if you're, going out with friends and you're trying to split a bill or something like that. It's a nice kind of way to do that and have like an online digital banking platform here in Ireland. And the last one is Unidays. And so that is a great app because it gives you student discounts. So using your student email, it gives you kind of, discounts and coupons and deals specifically for students. So different companies, different clothing stores, different food restaurants. And so it's definitely one of those things that you should download and often check to make sure that you're, able to get some deals from being a student. And kind of jumping to some of the things that Nia was saying, some useful shops for living in Dublin. So the Londis, so that is a small supermarket that's located right here on campus. And so it's at the Glasnevin campus, and you can get a few things. It's a small supermarket, and then there's also a place where you can get pizza. There's a sandwich area. There's a Mexican restaurant in there too. So there's a lot of options there for food, and it's right here on campus. And you can also pick up some small things for your housing too. So they have, paper towels, soap, supplies like that as well, located right here on campus. So it's really convenient and handy for those type of things. There's also a farm health here on campus, on the Glasnevin campus, and that's a pharmacy for all medical supplies. So it's really convenient and handy, so you don't have to leave DCU to get any medical needs or anything you may need at the pharmacy. And Nia mentioned IKEA, and so DCU is very conveniently close to IKEA. It's about 3.5 kilometers away. As she mentioned, it's a great place to get some accommodation supplies like cutlery, maybe some pots and pans, plates, and those types of things that you're looking for accommodations. Pennies, as Nia was saying, has affordable clothing, and it's located right in the city center. So it's very easy to get to from campus by Dublin bus, and it's there's many Pennies locations right in the city center, and it's extremely affordable clothing. In the UK, Pennies is known as Primark, so you might be familiar of the store by that name as well. And then so for some affordable groceries, there's Lidl and Aldi. and they're both about 2 kilometers from DCU. And so that's kind of commonly known as the most inexpensive source for groceries here in Ireland. So sometimes people will go there, kind of do a big shop, and then have a few things for a little while, for a couple of weeks, and then kind of fill their cupboards with things from Lidl or Aldi. So something to kind of consider when kind of strategizing, how you're going to handle, groceries and shopping and pharmacy and all that stuff while you're here at DCU. So exploring Dublin. So DCU is at the vibrant heart of the city's north side in the bustling Glasnevin, Drumcondra area. It's all within easy reach of the city center. It's also a great springboard for exploring the mountains, coastline, and the countryside right on the city's doorstep. And there's a kind of a snapshot there of the map kind of surrounding DCU as well. And there's also so much public transportation to take you there. And so this is just a kind of a snapshot of some of the places that you can explore in Dublin. So kind of the quintessential areas. So we have Dublin Castle, St. Stephen's Green, down by the docks and Temple Bar and Grafton Street. And then Nia and I were talking about some places that you can explore outside of Dublin city center. And so these are kind of some of the 3 things that stuck out to us. And so there's the Botanic Gardens, which is very close to the DCU Glasnevin campus. Howth, which is a seaside village with a cliff walk, restaurants, pubs, and a market. And then there's Malahide Castle and Gardens. And, you can tour the castle, walk the gardens, enjoy concerts and movies on the ground. And Howth and Malahide Castle are very easy to get to via the DART, which is the train system here in Dublin. So I'll pass it over to Nia to kind of give some insight about kind of exploring outside of the campus.
Thank you, Colleen. So yeah, these are the 3 places that I have. So I really enjoy traveling. And of course, you're in a new country. As a student, you want to explore the place. So these are 3 places that are close to where you will be, near DCU, near Dublin. And Botanic Gardens is exactly, it's a beautiful park space. It's considered a tourist spot, but a really nice green environment. And then you have Malahide Castle, which around the Christmas time, so around November, December, it really they have these different shows, and it's a beautiful time, especially during Christmas. So you can visit with your friends there. And Howth again is a sort of a seaside place where if you do enjoy seafood and just a little bit of a hike, because Ireland is known for its hikes and treks and everything. So there are these places that you can visit. There's also Bray. And of course, outside of Dublin, there are other counties that you can visit. As a student, the travel is quite subsidized. One of the essential cards that somebody, you get made right after your arrival is your travel card, which is known as the LEAP card. So Colleen just mentioned about the TFI app. That's where you can sort of track your travels and everything. So LEAP card, sort of assures that you can go around, travel, take the DART, which is the train, Luas, which is the tram, and then you have the bus. And these are the kind of places that you can visit. It's exactly how the pictures are. It's completely, justified. And I think, we understand that as a student, it gets difficult. You're managing with your classes, academics, and part-time. But it's always good to take that break on the weekend and visit these places because they're really beautiful and very peaceful.
Thanks so much, Nia. And yeah, so on the screen there is just kind of a snapshot of what's awaiting you outside of Dublin. So here in Ireland, the different landscapes and everything that you have to explore. And another great thing too about Dublin is you're right at the doorstep of the airport in Europe. So you have a lot of options too to explore even outside of Ireland. So it's very convenient in that way as well. So now I think what we'll do is, take some questions that may have come in through the chat for Nia about kind of getting settled here and what you did to prepare and plan for arriving, or any maybe questions about her student life. So Tiago, we'll pass it to you for the questions.
Hi, sorry, I was actually reading some of the questions on the chat. So I think there is a lot of questions about if they need to bring their official academic documents. Neha, you have done the registration. Did they ask you to bring your original ones?
Yeah, so I was also confused about this when I was coming to Ireland for the first time. To be on the safer side, I did keep my academic documents, but I don't think there was a time when my academic documents were asked. All the documents that are asked were probably part of your visa appointment, which were your financials and, your accommodation and everything. But I would recommend that the first time you come to Ireland, have them with you. You may need it at some point. And then maybe once you do go back at some point, you can keep those back home. But initially, I would recommend that you bring your documents. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you very much, Neha. And then there is some questions here that I know we have done the webinar about accommodation already, but there is some questions here if they should pay the deposit before coming to Ireland. So my advice is, and then Neha could talk about that because she's looking for accommodation. Do not pay anything before you sign the contract if you are not in Dublin. So how you are going to pay something that you don't have? So you shouldn't pay any rent, any deposit before signing the contract. And if you are talking with a landlord online, you have to ask to see his license to be a landlord. So you have to check all those documents because unfortunately there are scammers out there. Okay, so you have to be very careful. So a few signs that if somebody try to push you or try to create in you a sense of urgency for you to pay quickly before signing anything, don't do it. Most likely it is a scammer. And if you are using property agents, check check them. Okay, so if you do a very quick Google search, you will see if they are genuine or not. So Neha, you are doing that right now and you have done that. What's your advice to students?
Yeah, so it's pretty much similar to what you said. So see, if you're staying on campus DCU, so you're sorted, there's no concern over there. If you're staying in a student accommodation, such as you might have heard of Aspen, which is near which is near DCU. So these are legitimate student accommodations wherein you have to go to the website and you just have to book a place. And all the communication is done through email. You receive a contract. So you can definitely pay over there the deposit. And I know before your arrival, they will also ask for your first month rent. So if it's a student accommodation, like a legitimate student accommodation, such as Aspen or Hazelwood, you can book through their website. But if it's a private place and you found the website maybe on different Facebook groups, you see somebody posting, I would advise not to pay any amount, because I have friends who traveled from their home country. They had a discussion that they will pay on arrival. They went and saw the place, they made sure it was all right, and they shifted the next day. So if you can just let the landlord or the agent know that you're arriving on so and so date, and you can also let them know that you do not have the kind of converted cash or currency and you would like to pay a certain way. These are just things if they say that it's not possible or something like that. And if they say it's not possible, then yes, that's a sign that it may be on the on the scamming end. Another thing is, I understand that a lot of you may not have a student accommodation or a on-campus accommodation. What you can do is maybe go on booking.com and book an Airbnb for a while, say a week or so, while you're there in Ireland, so you have a place. Also, because at immigration, they do ask you of your accommodation, so you shouldn't be standing there and saying that I don't have a place to stay. So book an accommodation, book a BNB, book a hostel from a legitimate website, not from, say, a WhatsApp chat with a person. And once you do that for a week, arrive in Ireland and make sure you have those contacts, reach out to the agents. You have to do a little bit of a legwork going around, but I think that's the way to go. Maybe booking.com or any legitimate website where you can book a room for a week or 2 weeks till you find a permanent place.
Yeah, that was very good advice. Thank you, Neha. So there are a lot of questions here about WhatsApp groups. So just to let you guys know, DCU doesn't have any official WhatsApp group for students, but I know students, they create their own WhatsApp groups, but we don't have access to those numbers. I'm sorry. So I can't tell you which numbers, which groups are out there. That's the students do that by themselves. And then there's a lot of questions about the PPS, when you should apply. So you apply after you are in Ireland. I will let Neha give some advice, but basically you need your passport, you need a proof of address in Ireland. So Neha, when you have done, do you need your GNIB card before apply to the PPS, or you can do it at the same time?
Yeah, those are two different things. They're not related. The first time you arrive in Ireland, I think in the very first week, you have to be a little proactive. There are certain cards that you have to get made. The first I said is go to the DCO office, get your student ID card made. That's one, because that's the first card. Second one is your LEAP card, which is your travel card, the bus, DART, everything. That is like a subsidized way of getting your student travel. And again, LEAP card, there's a website for it, but you can go to the student union. Again, it's at DCO. There you will get your physical copy of the card and they can help you out. So these are two cards. The third one is, yes, your GNIB. So the way to get a GNIB appointment is, the first thing you do is get a SIM card, Irish SIM card, which could be Tesco, Leica. These are different networks. Again, these are available at a grocery store or at the airport. You can go and buy a SIM card. You get an Irish number, and the GNIB number is given on their the website. Give them a call and book an appointment, because appointment is something that if you're arriving end of August, you may get it like many days later, sometime in September or October. So these are the, I would say, getting a SIM card, a LEAP card, your student ID card, and the fourth one is a bank card, which is something that you can maybe make, say, a few days later. There are two banks that are well known. There's Bank of Ireland, and the other one is AIB, Allied Irish Bank, if I'm not wrong. And AIB is again, AIB is again something that you can, you don't need to really go anywhere. Just download the app once you're in Ireland with your Irish SIM, not with your any other number, and download the app, and everything is done end to end through the app. The card is delivered at your address. You really honestly don't need to go anywhere. So, and these are pretty much the basic cards that you need. And yes, PPSN is something that you need to apply for a part-time job if you want to start working. I would say you can give that a few days till you get settled in. But the essential ones are your student, travel, and your SIM card. Yeah.
Yeah, but thank you very much, Neha. And just to let you know, guys, when you arrived here in Ireland at CU, you will have some kind of, it's not a webinar, I would say, when it's live, it's a workshop or something like that. People will give you all that information. So you will be guided how to apply for all those documents. And on top of that, you have the student union that they are great to give you support and help you with everything you need. So when you arrive on the campus, pop in the student union, talk with people there, they will guide you about everything. And I think, let's see what else we have here. So there is a lot of questions about which SIM card they should buy. So I don't know. I think it's a personal choice. What I do, I usually go on each one of the companies and I check with the offers that they have, which one are cheaper, which are not. I think that's more a personal choice than, oh, you should go for this one or that one. I don't think there is right and wrong on that. So just to reinforce that, if you are thinking to look for jobs in Ireland, that you need to get your PPS number before it starts work. So just keep in mind that it will not be possible for you to arrive in Ireland and start working straight away. Okay, you have to apply to the PPS. So just keep in mind that it might take at least a month or a few weeks for you to be able to start working. So there's questions here when they should arrive in Ireland. Again, that's a personal choice. You have the course starting date. It's when you should be here. It's a personal choice. I would arrive a week early for me to know the place, walk around, maybe travel a little bit, see the bus, see the city center. So, but again, that's a personal choice. Any advice on that, Neha?
Yeah, I agree with Tiago. I mean, I also arrived a week before my classes started, and it gave me good enough time to settle in, a lot of things like getting the groceries, understanding the place. It's a completely different country, getting your cards made. Like, that's literally the first thing I did, get those 3, 4 essential cards made. And by the time, your classes begin, you're settled in. So I would say a week or two before. I don't think more time than that. It just for you to, sort of get settled in. Yeah.
Yeah, that's very good. And again, guys, you don't have to worry too much right now about open bank accounts. Yes, they will explain everything to you here at TCU. I think the most important thing now is plan your trip, which clothes you're going to bring, what you need here, and then your accommodation. I think that's it. All the rest are very straightforward. There's not that's very complicated to do it. It could take time, like to find an appointment, things like that, but it's very straightforward and you will be guided all the way through. I think it was pretty much about registration. They asked if they have to register before come to Ireland. Yes, it is an online registration for both undergrad and postgrad. So, and you will get an email. There is actually a webinar that we did a week or 2 weeks ago about the registration. That was great. So please go to the list of our recorded webinars and watch the registration one. It's very clear, all step by step what's going to happen. Okay, but if you go to the DCU website, you have all the dates over there as well. And I think that's it.
Okay, that's perfect. Thank you so much. We think we're all set with questions.
Yeah, I think I'm looking at the chat. It looks like we cover. And Neha, thanks a lot. She replied a lot of the questions on the chat already, so it kills lots of them.
Thank you so much. Okay, that's perfect. Thank you, Neha, and thank you, Tiago, so much for the questions. And if you're listening now and you think of a question later, you can always shoot us an email at DCU Global Recruitment, and we're happy to answer the questions. And like Tiago and Nia was saying, there's a lot of this that you're going to get information again when you're here during orientation in the first week. But I agree, that's such great advice to kind of get here a week early to kind of get that personal stuff settled and worked out. But everything related to DCU, you'll definitely get that guidance once, you start your courses here and orientation starts.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we're just going to wrap up and just kind of plug, and I know we've mentioned this a few times, that we've done quite a few different webinars throughout our series. So about immigration, accommodation. As Tiago said last week, we had a really great one with a member of our registry department who talked step by step through the registration process and how to get your student ID. So definitely recommend watching those webinars. They're all available on our website, and they're available at the URL there. And we are going to be sending you an email after this webinar that will have the link to all of the previous webinars too. So you'll have that. You can favorite it, maybe watch them, the ones that are a key interest to you before arrival, as well as just kind of a refresher. Another way to kind of keep in touch, and we highly recommend you do this, is follow us on social media. So we are very active on Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, and Facebook, especially Instagram and LinkedIn. So if you could follow us, that would be great. So that way you can kind of stay up to date. We make some really, fun reels. We have student testimonials. It's a great way to engage as well with incoming students. So highly recommend that you follow us there for, up-to-date information for what's going on with us here at DCU Global and within the university. And so just wanted to kind of wrap up and say, thank you so much for joining us, not only today, but during the other webinars, during our webinar series. It's been great to chat with everybody, answer some questions, and have people kind of chat and meet throughout the Zoom chats as well. So huge thank you to Tiago today for looking over the questions and providing that insight. And a massive thank you to Nia for her insight and her knowledge of, her experience, and just been instrumental to the success of these webinars as well, participating on the student panel. So just want to say a big thank you to you as well.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
And then if you have,
yeah.
no, go ahead.
Yeah, I just wanted to say that I think, just as Tiago mentioned, I think you shouldn't really worry that much about after your arrival, but it's just, I think this is just the time to be sure that you pack your bags well and keep your essentials, your medicines and everything with you. And for all this kind of information, I just like Colleen mentioned, Instagram is a great platform wherein DCU Global, they've been posting a lot of content, reels, so bite-sized content that helps you understand that, okay, what is really required. And yeah, I think you should definitely refer to those.
Thank you so much. And yeah, so thank you everybody for your time and joining us today. You'll get an email from us with a recording and all of the other links to the webinar. So highly recommend you watch those if you didn't attend those previously. And we look forward to welcoming you to campus. So we're kind of in the home stretch. So we'll see you very, very shortly. So thanks again, everybody.
Thank you, guys. Bye-bye.
Thank you.